There's a rumor that Alaska's oil fields are shutting down for good. The image is dramatic. Silent drills, empty pipelines, and a wilderness finally left untouched. But the truth is far more complicated. Alaska's oil story isn't over. It's changing. Production has dropped from its heyday, but the industry isn't vanishing. New projects are on the horizon, promising a revival. The situation is a mix of decline, renewal, and fierce debate. To understand what's really happening, we need to look past the headlines. This video will explore Alaska's oil past, its present struggles, and what the future might hold. We'll examine government actions, industry plans, and the arguments on both sides. Is oil a lifeline or a liability? The answer isn't simple. The real question, what comes next for Alaska and for America's energy future? The story is far from finished. Alaska's oil saga began in the late 1960s with the discovery of Prudhoe Bay, the largest oil field in North America. This find transformed Alaska from a remote outpost into a global energy player. The Trans-Alaska Pipeline System, or TAPS, was built to move oil 800 miles to the port of Valdez. The 1970s and 80s were boom years, with production peaking in 1988 at over 2 million barrels a day, nearly a quarter of U.S. output. Oil money funded schools, roads, and the Alaska Permanent Fund, which still pays residents annual dividends. But oil fields don't last forever. By the 1990s, Prudhoe Bay's output began a steady decline. No new discoveries matched its scale, and by 2024, production had dropped to just 436,000 barrels per day, an 80% fall. This decline hit Alaska hard, shrinking revenues, budget cuts, and smaller dividends. The sense of crisis fueled rumors of a total shutdown. But the numbers tell a story of decline, not disappearance. Alaska's oil industry is battered, but not beaten. The fear of an ending is real, but the reality is more nuanced. The state's economic engine is sputtering, not stopping. The question isn't if oil is gone, but what will replace it or revive it. The next chapter is just beginning. Despite decades of decline, Alaska's oil industry isn't shutting down. In fact, production is projected to rise in the coming years. New projects are already underway, aiming to reverse the downward trend. By 2028, output could climb to nearly 490,000 barrels per day, a 20% jump from today. The first boost comes from a major project launching in 2026, with another even larger one to follow. These investments show that companies still see value in Alaska's oil. Billions are being spent on advanced, efficient operations. The industry is shifting from aging giants like Prudhoe Bay to new, smaller fields. This isn't a return to the wild boom years, but it's a clear resurgence. The narrative of a shutdown is a myth. Alaska's oil story is one of transition, not closure. New technology and investment are keeping the state in the oil game. The future looks different, but oil remains central. The so-called end is actually a new beginning. Alaska's oil revival is powered by massive new projects. The Willow project, led by ConocoPhillips, is the biggest, approved in 2023 and set to produce up to 180,000 barrels a day by 2029. The Pikka project, run by Santos, starts even sooner in 2026, and will drive the initial surge in output. Together, Willow and Pikka represent billions in investment and decades of future production. Smaller projects like Nuna, already online, add tens of thousands of barrels per day. This mix of large and small developments is key to offsetting declines from older fields. By 2032, Alaska's total output could reach 660,000 barrels a day, a level not seen in over 20 years. This would reverse more than half the decline since the 1980s peak. These projects are proof that the shutdown narrative doesn't match reality. They're not just keeping the industry alive, they're driving a new boom. The evidence is in the numbers. Alaska's oil future is being rebuilt one project at a time. The engines of revival are running. Even as new oil projects move forward, the government is ramping up environmental protections. In 2023, the Biden administration canceled all remaining oil leases in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, a huge win for conservationists. New rules also aim to protect 13 million acres in the National Petroleum Reserve, limiting future drilling in sensitive habitats. Offshore, the latest federal plan includes no new lease sales for Alaskan waters through 2029. These moves create a push and pull. Major projects like Willow get the green light, while vast areas are locked away from development. The result is a patchwork of opportunity and restriction. Legal battles continue, and future administrations could change course. The government's approach reflects deep national divisions over energy and the environment. Alaska's oil industry isn't being shut down, but its growth is tightly managed. Conservation is now a central part of the equation. The future of drilling is limited to specific areas with more oversight than ever. The balance between extraction and protection is constantly shifting. Alaska's oil map is being redrawn. No discussion of Alaskan oil is complete without remembering the Exxon Valdez disaster. In 1989, the tanker spilled 11 million gallons of crude into Prince William Sound, devastating wildlife and local communities. The cleanup took years, but some damage was permanent. Oil still lingers in the beaches decades later. The spill became a symbol of the risks of oil transport in fragile environments. And it wasn't the last. Accidents remain a constant threat, despite better technology. The Deepwater Horizon spill in 2010, though in the Gulf, was a stark reminder of what can go wrong. Even recently, pipeline leaks have shown that the danger is never zero. This history fuels fierce opposition to new projects like Willow. Critics argue that no safety measure can eliminate the risk of another catastrophe. For many, the only way to truly protect Alaska's wilderness is to leave the oil in the ground. The legacy of spills is a powerful argument against expansion. The scars of the past shape the debate over Alaska's future. The risk is real and unforgettable. Every barrel of Alaskan oil travels 800 miles through the Trans-Alaska Pipeline System, or TAPS, to the port of Valdez. The pipeline crosses mountains, rivers, and permafrost, an engineering marvel and a lifeline for the industry. Most of the oil goes to West Coast refineries, some stays in Alaska, or heads to Hawaii and Asia. But TAPS faces new challenges as production declines. Lower flow means oil moves slower and cools, risking ice and wax buildup inside the pipe. If throughput drops too low, below about 350,000 barrels a day, the pipeline could become unsafe and uneconomical to operate. In that scenario, a true shutdown could happen. That's why new projects like Willow and Pika are critical, not just for growth, but for the pipeline's survival. The fate of Alaska's oil industry is tied to this single artery. Without TAPS, production would grind to a halt. Keeping the pipeline running is as important as finding new oil. The infrastructure is both a strength and a vulnerability. Alaska's oil journey depends on it. The future of Alaskan oil is a battleground of economics versus environment. Supporters say oil is Alaska's economic backbone, providing jobs, funding public services, and ensuring U.S. energy security. They argue that domestic production is safer and cleaner than relying on imports. For many, drilling is both a necessity and a patriotic duty. Opponents counter with the risks: oil spills, habitat destruction, and the threat to fragile Arctic ecosystems. They argue that no economic benefit justifies risking places like the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. Environmentalists also point to climate change. Burning more oil means more carbon emissions. Approving new projects locks us into fossil fuels just as the world needs to transition to clean energy. The costs of climate change, they say, will far outweigh short-term profits. The debate is fierce, emotional, and unresolved. Alaska stands at the crossroads of prosperity and preservation. The stakes are high for the state, the nation, and the planet. The outcome will shape Alaska's legacy. The idea that Alaska's oil industry is finished is simply false. While the boom years are gone, a new era is beginning, driven by major projects and renewed investment. But this resurgence faces powerful opposition and strict environmental limits. The government is protecting more land even as it approves new drilling elsewhere. Alaska's future will be shaped by this ongoing tug-of-war between economic needs and environmental values. The stakes are enormous: state budgets, national energy security, and the global climate. Extracting more oil from the Arctic has consequences far beyond Alaska. The choices made here will echo for generations. The story of Alaskan oil is still being written. Its future depends on prices, technology, politics, and public will. What happens in Alaska matters to all of us. The balance between today's needs and tomorrow's planet is at the heart of the debate. Alaska's oil journey continues, uncertain, contested, and vital.